The balloonatic is on the grass. Welcome to Sync Floyd, the podcast where we watch every movie ever made to see if it syncs up with Pink Floyd's 1973 magnum opus, The Dark Side of the Moon. We unravel that mystery with the movie on mute and the album on loud.
Hell yeah.
My name can only be discovered if you look at the serial device on the iPhone you're listening to this on, and then read that serial number and through a mirror, and then look at your neighbor's window and you'll see it's a code that says, my name is Gareth Blackler, and my co-host you can only find by putting an elaborate bit of string art through your window while driving, and he'll come to you. It's the homeless king himself. I'm sorry. Noted owner of a home.
Yeah.
James Barron, hello.
Hi, it's Jaguar, Antelope, Magpie, Emu, Seahorse here. How are you going? Welcome to the show, Gareth. It's good to hear from you. I'm ready to talk secret codes and hidden messages with you tonight on our show. That's basically all about that. So,
right? Because we watched Under the Silver Lake, a film where a man is obsessed with the hidden messages in pop culture. He does every idea under the sun, like, in order to find out these codes. And he did miss one, which is, of course, playing a movie with Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon. Yeah. So we're here to pick up the slack for this character.
Come on, Sam. Step it up, mate. You're a bloody slacker. You're leaving the Pink Floyd album on the floor.
I know.
He probably owns it.
For sure.
And just has never even taken it out of the sleeve, I imagine.
Yeah. He's too scared.
Too scared of the power of the Floyd. Yeah. And fair enough. So are we sometimes.
Oh, yeah. Especially tonight.
Yes. Under the Silver Lake, a suggestion from one of our avid listeners. Shout outs to you. And I'd not seen this movie before. Gareth, had you seen this before?
Yes. I had seen it, I believe, 2.5 times.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I come and go on it, whether I like it or hate it or love it. I think there's a lot of amazing stuff in it. There's a lot of just boneheaded, frustrating stuff in it.
Yes.
And it evens out. It evens out to a film I would 100% recommend people check out. And one of those people is you, James. What did you think of Under the Silver Lake?
I enjoyed it as well. I agree with your assessment at the end of the last episode where you said it's not a perfect film, is what you said.
No.
There's a lot that is left to be desired in this. But overall, I think it's pretty fun. It's a pretty weird movie, and I like weird movies. It's got a lot of the elements that I like. My pitch for people going into this, if you've never seen the movie and you're like, hey, maybe I'll listen to this weird show and see if it's on my radar or something I want to watch. My pitch for this movie is that it's Mulholland Drive meets The Big Lebowski. Is how I would describe it. It's like people trying to solve a case that they're involved in, but also the main character is bumbling their way through it. Like, that's the vibe for this movie.
Yeah, that's spot on. That's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely, like, in terms of it not being perfect, it feels like they had almost it all there. Like, maybe they had 3/4 of the script. And then the writer-director, David Robert Mitchell, it feels like he just got too obsessed with the little things, because there's a lot of tiny details in this film. Like, there's an entire code that can only be cracked by other codes hidden in the film, like going throughout the whole film. Yep. Which must have been like the meticulousness to do that. And then also like a bandit being the same person who lays out all those clues, like gets the production design team working on those. And then to just, like, abandon huge plot lines like the Owl's Kiss and stuff is, like, it's so strange.
I have an overarching theory. So this movie turned me into a full conspiracy theorist. And that, it turned me, like, there's so many little details, as you say. And a lot of it feels really intentional to the point where... Like, I feel like these abandoned plot lines are on purpose and are I have a theory as to what connects most of these things. So
Ooh.
we'll be getting into that over the course of our discussion, I'm sure. But that's a wee tease of how I went insanely deep on this film. I actually watched it 3 times in the last 5 days. So
wow.
Yeah, only once with Pink Floyd though, and that's the one that counts.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Yeah, this is like when I first saw it, I was like, oh cool, that's an interesting film. And then I like looked up one thing. I think I just wanted to know who an actor was and found the entire like subreddits and
the
rabbit holes within rabbit holes of this whole thing.
Yeah, it's just a warren down there, a warren of tunnels that we need to dive into to figure out if it syncs with the magnum opus, The Dark Side of the Moon, Gareth.
Yeah.
We need to get started, I feel like, because there's a lot to cover.
I think we should. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah, if we miss your favorite plot hole or plot point, sorry.
Same thing.
Dive the rabbits down the plot holes. That's the second pitch for this film.
Ooh, I like that.
Oh, thank you. If we missed your favorite plot point, just, let us know. Let us know your theories and everything on Twitter at SyncFloydPod or Gmail, syncfloydpod@gmail.com.
Oh man, we're doing the plug at the top. This is crazy.
Yeah, why not? Just let us know your theories because it's interesting.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think this film also does a good thing where it does point out that conspiracy theories aren't cool. Just up top. Like the fact that it really plugs into the kind of narcissism of being someone who believes they're the only ones who can unfurl the mystery.
Exactly.
And the perfect scene for it is one that I think we kind of were like, oh, do we even talk about the scene? There's a scene where he lays out what looks like all a bunch of clues, and then it does reveal that. And if you got your kids in your car while you're listening to this show, you're in for a treat. Other things to deal with. But it reveals that he's just, jacking off to all of this.
Yeah.
And it's like the perfect metaphor for kind of like what a conspiracy theory in the modern era kind of is.
Yeah. Great point.
Yeah. Just up top, conspiracy theories, we're going to have some fun, but they're not cool. They're kind of dangerous.
Yeah.
And lame.
Our show also does come worryingly close to a conspiracy theory. And I feel like it was a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek suggestion when we got this, and that as our show is have you play the record backwards and you hear the devil's voice. That's sort of the wheelhouse and area that we operate in. But we don't endorse a lot of conspiracy theories in general in our day-to-day life. It's just that this one's fun and harmless. So, that's just our proviso, I think, for the show. Yeah. That being said, I do go mega deep and turn into a terrifying conspiracy theorist on this episode. So that's just
Me
just
too. I'm so
warning.
Excited.
All right.
Let's do this. I'm really excited to get to how you've ruined your life this week, and then how I've ruined mine.
I've changed. I only know the codes, Gareth. You look at me and you just see the Matrix now. Yeah, let's do it. Speak to me, opening credits, everything that you know. A24 logo, baby. I'm filled with confidence and joy at seeing that. The movie starts with the thing that I was referencing with my intro. Just 4 flashes of symbols of animals: unicorn, tiger, snake, and lion. This is a code right at the top of the show. Of the movie, actually, meaning under the Silver Lake. Each of these animals stands for one of the letters in the title, so that's why they flash there. Also, this is a recurring code throughout. In fact, in the very next scene, the opening scene, where we have our main character Sam, who's a 33-year-old no hope guy living in washed up actor kind of character living in Los Angeles, presumably washed up actor. He knows actors, so unknown, but we don't really know very much about him as we go through the film. He's introduced in front of a shop window that has been graffitied with a warning saying "Beware the dog killer," which is a recurring thing throughout the show. There's a dog killer rampaging Los Angeles, murdering dogs of the innocent. And more will be revealed about that we, as part of this intro, we actually scan past a guy wearing a shirt with these same animal symbols on it. And if you take those symbols and translate it to the letters that the animals represent, it says "Beware, dog killer." So another code there. Just
right off the top.
Yeah. He's in this like cafe looking at these girls chatting in the kitchen, and there's another code here which is incredibly hard to spot. A Morse code on the menu, and I think I'll translate that one later. When I get to it, because that's sort of the one that's like the overarching insane code of this movie.
I'm so glad you've learned all this stuff.
Oh my god, I know everything. I've like jacked in and learned like so much. I love this kind of thing. Like ARGs in movies and video games are a lot of fun. I was involved in one for this video game that came out called Oxenfree. Which involved like radio signals and stuff, and there was this huge like hidden mystery in this video game, and it was a lot of fun, like everyone trying to work out what was going on with that. And so this movie has the same kind of thing and sort of like revels in that idea, even though it's all meaningless, is effectively the moral of this movie. Anyway, we just watched like Sam go about his day. He's like just sort of moseying through LA doing stuff, getting a boba, etc. When at random a squirrel falls out of the sky in front of him, falls out of a tree presumably, and dies right in front of him, right as we get the first line in Breathe. This is the one thing I cannot connect. I don't know what is going on with this squirrel and why it's here. He's a little like puppet. You got a theory?
Nope. I was like thinking, I should have kept track of every animal that's seen in the film and seen what that, like S and then D for dog, etc. Yeah. But
maybe. Hard to say. It's very random. I think it's just sort of here to imply that that Sam's sort of living outside of reality in a weird way. Like surreal things happen in this movie, and whether or not all of it is to be believed is up to the viewer. So I think that's like leaning into that because it's a very like cartoony moment to happen very early in the film.
I'm trying to like just do everyone the favor and make a big bold guess, but I don't know, like it's the opposite of an ascension. Like it's a squirrel. Squirrels sometimes fly, but this one's getting lower.
Oh, I like it. That's
maybe,
good.
You know?
Yeah. It's been kicked out of heaven, this poor squirrel.
Yeah.
Poor guy. Anyway, it's a fairly shocking experience, and we get this like incredibly like fucked up like focus pull on him, like straight out of a horror movie. And then he goes to his door, and there's a note there saying that he's going to be evicted in 5 days. Putting like, I like this as like a timeline structure for the movie that he has to solve the case in 5 days before he gets evicted. It's just fun. Not that any of it matters, but it's good. Anyway, we go into Breathe here at the start, right? And basically every scene is cutting in time with Breathe, and it's freaking me out a lot at the start. I was like we're just getting these like fairly like slow motion-y shots of like Sam hanging out, going about his day, doing the squirrel thing, going home, hanging out on his like balcony, and basically every cut is in time with the song, and I'm like, what? Wait, is this the movie that does it? Thankfully, no. It's just this intro. But yeah, I was like, oh man, if the whole movie is like perfectly cut in time with Dark Side of the Moon, I'm gonna freak out. But no, we're okay.
We're like dogs chasing cars, you know. We don't know what we'll do when we actually get a movie that sings.
Dude, I don't know either. I think we'd have to like call the cops or something. Like, I would probably turn into Sam if that actually happened. Like, if we found the film, I'm going to like flip. We've given out 10 out of 10s on the show for really good experiences, but I wouldn't say we found the perfect sync with Pink Floyd yet. We've still got time. Still out there, I think. The Big Fish. The 11 out of 10.
Just like a Pink Floyd fan when there are only 2 songs into Dark Side of the Moon. We've still got time.
Yeah, nice one.
Oh.
There's lots of cuts right on beat, and it freaks me out. He gets a call from his mum out here, who's trying to get him to watch a movie, Seventh Heaven. His mum particularly loves Janet Gaynor, who's going to be a recurring motif in the movie. I haven't seen Seventh Heaven. I don't know the significance of this. He does watch it at the end of the movie. It's a particular favorite of his mum's. There's probably some kind of nuanced reason why it's in the film, but I haven't seen it, so I'm not entirely sure. Maybe we'll watch that one at some point. Not after this episode. I've got another one planned.
Okay.
So, we also see that Sam, she asks about his work and he pretends to be there. So quite clearly he isn't doing anything about being evicted in 5 days. He's like a consummate liar here, self-destructive to the end. And we'll learn that. So we're going into On the Run. He's just sort of like perving on his neighbor who has a parrot here who keeps saying things that are completely incomprehensible to us. Just like it sounds like it's trying to say words, but we don't know. But this is interrupted by a hot girl, Gareth, who has come to hang out at the pool in this like little apartment complex with her small dog, a Bichon Frise. Has a row with the neighbor, and then just sort of is hanging out here. The song that she's playing is also one that will become important later on as well, which is nice. All these little details are all here from the get-go. Sam is basically spying on her with binoculars, and she spots him when there's a knock at the door that attracts both of their attention, and he just sort of like tucks and rolls to go and answer the door. And it's a character who's only called the actress, but is played by Ricky Lindholm. Oh, Andrew Garfield, by the way, is playing Sam. Good guy. And Ricky Lindholm, who I'm a big fan of because she's in Garfunkel and Oates, like a comedy song duo. Which I'm a big fan of. Saw a lot more of her in this movie than I expected.
She's so great, and she's so kind of wasted in this movie as an unnamed character. It's a shame.
Most of the characters are unnamed, so
that's true.
It's not so bad. Like I think that's just a style thing where like no one's asking anyone's names. It's just an LA thing, man.
It's saying a lot about Hollywood, man.
Yeah, dude. I think it is trying to be that like trying to say something about Hollywood, but the overall message about Hollywood is pretty shallow. I think it's not really a great, like it's sort of been done to death already, but whatever. We'll get there.
100%. That's probably one of my biggest problems with the film.
Yeah, it's not saying anything new or interesting.
But I was thinking like even if they moved the city, like if it wasn't in LA, if it was in like Kentucky, I guess to us, like outside of America, we have no real idea about other cities in America other than New York and LA.
That's true.
So you can say something about LA and we get it. We're like, oh yeah, Hollywood types.
Yeah.
But so I guess that makes sense. It's been done to death, and it's been done it's been done more superior, which is a turn of phrase I remember an art teacher telling me off for using. It's been done better than by Mulholland Drive.
I agree.
But 17 years prior.
Yeah, so, but this is also doing the old the other movie that I said thing. You know, it's trying to be two movies, so we'll cut him some slack.
It's also have you seen Inherent Vice?
No.
That's a Paul Thomas Anderson movie from a few years ago, based on a book. It's also an incredibly trippy LA mystery movie that I think is probably trippier than this one. Like, I was more confused.
Right.
So, I don't know, check that out.
All right, sweet. That sounds like me.
Maybe that syncs with Dark Side of the Moon.
Yeah, absolutely. That probably will sync with it, and we're just gonna skip past it. It's fine. No, So anyway, she's come over here in like Bavarian attire. Smells something gross in the apartment, and he blames it on skunks in the area. At this point, I've noted that things have stopped cutting perfectly in time with the music, and I'm finally calm. I'm back in my seat and have all of my clothes back on. The characters don't, though, because they're having sex on the bed, watching the news at the same time, which is hilarious. There's a report about Jefferson Sevens, who is a billionaire who's gone missing. His family are like all cut up about it. We get the crash sound and on the run during this report, but not really syncing with anything. Perhaps a portent of ill omen, though. Anyway, the actress also comments on Sam's Kurt Cobain poster that he has above his bed, and he has it signed. I love this detail. He has it signed, but it's by Kurt's daughter. Which is just like such a smart detail, I think, because like he values like Kurt Cobain, but like cannot measure up to like the real thing. He's like sort of modeled himself on that person, like rebelling against stuff for the sake of it is sort of the skin deep impression that he's gotten from Nirvana. But yeah, it's just so funny that he's got it signed by Kurt's daughter because it's like, who is she? Like, what the fuck? Imagine
and
that.
she still signs it as Kurt Cobain, doesn't she?
I think so, yeah.
Oh,
so wild. Anyway.
Yeah.
After sex, they sort of muse over what the parrot is saying. Ricky Lindholm suggests like various things as to what it could be. Not a friend being one of them. It's not like super important or clear to the clue what the parrot's talking about, but that's fine. Also, the clocks go off here, not syncing with anything. The clock's from Time by Pink Floyd.
Heard of it.
Yeah. You heard of it? Now that's a song. She finds a Playboy next to the bed belonging to Sam with a woman floating upside down underwater on the cover. And also some weird notes that Sam is working on, looking a lot like the notes that I made while watching Space Jam 2 in cinema while listening to Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon.
The most important piece of the puzzle of this film is Space Jam 2.
Oh, it is. It'll all come together when he finds LeBron.
I mean, you could argue that LG Rhythm from Space Jam 2 is like the songwriter.
Yeah,
he is
kind
the
of.
songwriter himself, you know. He's hiding within every piece of pop culture.
Yeah.
Trying to get his own twisted messages out there
Could well be.
his jealousy of LeBron.
That's it. That's
Man,
what
I could
all the
watch that
messages
movie
are.
again, actually.
Oh,
like
no.
Space Jam 2.
I don't think you could, man. I feel like you get like through the opening and be like, oh, actually, I was right. James, I should have listened to James, and now I'm trapped watching Space Jam 2, now on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
They should put that on the cover. Now I'm trapped watching is like just a sticker on the top. We cut from here to like a weird like oh shit, it's a reference to a horror movie, this shot when it's like tracking across the ground really, really quickly. It's like that.
Oh yeah.
I can't remember which one. A zombie movie. I'll get
It's like Jaws if Jaws was in a car.
Evil Dead, I want to say.
Yes, yeah.
Anyway, he picks up a zine at the bookshop named Under the Silver Lake, hence the title for the film. It's about unsolved mysteries in LA and like cryptids and stuff. It's very like Welcome to Night Vale vibes, X-Files adjacent. Shout outs to another podcast. That kind of thing. The shop owner says he doesn't like it much, but he will give the guy who makes the zine Sam's number when he asks him to, so that he can meet this guy. Because it turns out they have like similar interests, both being LA weirdos.
100%.
Yeah. Sam goes home and sees a skunk in the bushes near his apartment. So he wasn't kidding about the skunk thing. I think like it's either like him mentioning it makes skunk appear, which is a possibility, or like skunks do live in LA. That's like a real thing. They got skunk problems. It's wild. I can't imagine. We don't have skunks in New Zealand. So as far as I know, maybe we do. And they're just really good at hiding. Now there's a conspiracy.
Who's hiding the skunks?
Who and why?
What are they spraying to neutralize the skunk odor?
Just it's big Kiwi bird has stamped it out. Yes. So he's going.
I feel if we had skunks in New Zealand, I would get skunked every day.
What?
Like,
Why?
knowing my luck, I'm always falling over or...
Oh, no.
Like, today I dropped my card to get through the train turnstile.
Yeah.
And as I picked it up, my butt hit the turnstile and I fell over more.
Oh, no.
If there was a skunk, it would have totally got me.
Were you trapped in like a Three Stooges bit? Like,
no, it's not even the first time that's happened.
Oh,
Often,
no.
Oh,
man, you're just
these
like
big butt problems.
just a slapstick comedian. It's too bad that none of these pratfalls show up on the podcast, honestly.
Yeah.
Just like edit in some like cartoon crash sounds or something.
Yeah. A lot of those like woo 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 woo.
Yeah. Just whenever we have technical difficulties. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Perfect. After seeing the skunk, he also sees the Bichon Frise, the dog, owned by the girl, just sort of like weirdly standing outside her door. And he feeds it a dog treat, which he happens to have on him. All caps, HMMMMM. What's up with that? Anyway, the girl comes out and they sort of have a chat. It turns out her name is Sarah. And yeah, she invites him in for a drink. She like questions his like stalking of her, but like doesn't seem like turned off or whatever. They seem sort of into each other. Yeah, they get high together off camera and then watch How to Marry a Billionaire, which is such a nice call there, filmmaker. Good work. And yeah, they're watching, and to the left of the TV, there are three dolls representing the characters in the movie. This is clearly one of Sarah's favorites because they've even got like little name tags, little placards in front of them that have a strange cipher underneath. These codes can be translated to Tombstone Sheriff entries. And they provide a clue to the overarching grand conspiracy from earlier.
Yeah. Oh, cool. So you are aware of the 3-word thing.
Yes, I am indeed.
Oh, good. Oh, phew. Because, like, it's one thing to explain a pop culture hidden message thing on a podcast, but to explain it to your co-host, you feel even more wild.
Mate, no, I'm ready to talk about it. I'm going to save it for the end, and then we're going to cover that. Anyway. She's also wearing a strange, like, metal wristband on her arm with her name engraved into it and with some, like, 90s-ass font. It's pretty funny. And, yeah, she's like, oh, yeah, an old boyfriend gave me this. And it's like, okay, weird gift. Yeah, we go into Great Gig here, and she has an even weirder ritual here where she eats saltine crackers and sips OJ, orange juice, at the same time. And apparently this is the best. It sounds truly awful. I cannot think of a worse thing to eat in combination, honestly. It sounds like really dreadful. But okay. Shout outs to you, girl.
We're just not on a high enough plane, man.
I guess
We're
not.
getting it.
I feel like it would just like the saltine would just like immediately disintegrate in your mouth and like just be dreadful.
Yeah, that's my main problem. Like the sweet and salty, like I've had salted rock melon and stuff, but the fact it would just the saltine would turn into mush, I just hate.
Yeah, it's not good. Like orange juice is thick enough already. You don't need like saltine gunk in there in the mix. I don't know.
Oh no.
Anyway,
that's why no one's ascending with us.
For sure, we don't have that weird taste. Be beside this show. Yeah. So yeah, it goes quite well. He's into this weird ritual because they have a wee kiss, and things look like they're about to go down. But people arrive at Sarah's house, presumably her roommates, and she is like, I think you got to go. They'll pick up again tomorrow. And yeah, so they leave fairly awkwardly, walk of shame style. And we see these roommates who are like hanging out with, and they're hanging out with a guy dressed in a pirate outfit who's like incredibly nonplussed. This pirate, least impressed pirate ever. I love this guy though. I want to know so much more about this pirate.
Yeah.
Anyway, fireworks are going off outside at random when they go out, and they're like, Stera is quite taken with them looking up into the sky. And she's like, yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. Now, these fireworks are actually going off in a sequence of Morse code.
Yep.
That says, when translated, I ascend now, which in the universe of the movie, Sarah is interpreting and as like a message to her and is ready to go. She's like awakened like a sleeper agent, kind of. Wild. So good.
Now, this isn't explained in the film that it's Morse code. This is just something someone out there decided to listen and track it as Morse code, and there was a message in there, which is
so sick. Again,
a level of detail that astounds me, and I wish had been saved, like that effort had been put into more of the script, but I love it so much.
So good.
She also seems scared as they go off, because we can't hear them because we've got Pink Floyd playing.
Yeah.
But as she looks up and is taken by these fireworks is when the vocals kick in for Great Gig in the Sky.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
A scary moment. Yeah. I think she's like mostly just very quickly translating Morse code in her head.
That's true.
While like Sam has been like, hey, so I'll see you tomorrow. And she's like, shut up. Like trying to do that.
Don't make me lose count here.
Yeah. It's quite tough. If you've ever heard Morse code, they go bloody quick. It's a skill that's now lost, Gareth. Interpreting
because everyone who could do it has had to ascend.
Man, imagine if instead of like texting, we just used Morse code to communicate. We had like phones with 2 buttons on it, and we just Morse coded everyone. Everyone knew it. That'd be wild.
Whoa. Bro, what if the real reason... Like, I was talking about this with a friend. Why are there so many vape stores? Like, there can't be that much need for vaping unless, and this is what this movie's done to me, my brain immediately went here, the elite are using smoke signals to talk to each other.
Oh my god, they're Gandalf making the ship.
Yeah.
they're vaping to pass the messages. That's why they come in so many flavors.
Right? I mean, you don't want to be talking to your friend exclusively in bubblegum flavor.
Oh,
switch out.
You do. You do, though.
Unless, like, you're like, smells like peach. It's a message about the secret tunnels. Now I'll read the smoke signals coming from my buddy Brian.
There it is. It makes perfect sense.
Oh, no. Yeah. Oh, what happens next in this film? I'm worried about myself.
Get us out of this. Clear away the haze, James. Something bloody rough happens next. Sam sees that his car's been like keyed and graffitied to have a huge cock and balls on the hood. And also someone's put some sticky goop on his door handle. Unidentified goop. I don't know what this is. But it's a pretty rough prank. Anyway, he spots the kids who did it, like just down the road, and goes up and like immediately like punches one to the floor. These kids are like looking like they're about 13, 14.
Yeah.
Force feeds one a raw egg. They were carrying eggs, like egging cars and stuff as well. These are well-prepared pranksters, but they weren't prepared for this. Force feeds one a raw egg and beats up another one and letting a third get away. Fucking rough. I think this is introducing that Sam like has his own sense of vigilante justice.
Yeah.
And if somebody wrongs him in the wrong way, he'll like snap in that kind of way.
It's definitely saying that Sam's not a great guy.
No, pretty rough stuff. We get another news report here with on Seventh and his disappearance. And this news report has a ticker at the bottom with a clue to the cipher being used throughout the film as well. Just an extra detail. Going into money now, we get the cha-ching coming in, and we get right on the animated aside here. Loved these. Like fully animated rendition for Under the Silver Lake being read like it's a little film within a film kind of thing. What's the movie that does this?
Did they do it in the Watchmen movie?
I think so. I think I'm thinking comic? Sin City does it, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's what it reminds me of as well, because it's all black and white. It's very good. They're just like really well animated and really fun. The story's not; it's a nightmare. It details a found footage film canister about a man committing suicide, holding the note, "No one will ever be happy again." No one will ever be happy here until all the dogs are dead. He like shoots himself on screen. There's an explanation that he was an out-of-work actor who loathed like a wonder dog, who was getting all the fame and fortune that he desired as an actor, but it was a dog, and so that's why that happens. And the writer theorizes that this could have served as inspiration for the modern day and yet undiscovered dog killer, which haunts LA, murdering dogs. Who is the dog killer? Eh? Huh?
Do you have a theory? Is this another...
Yeah, it's Sam.
Like, is this... Okay, yeah, it's gotta be right.
Yeah, it's obviously Sam, but that's okay. We'll get there. In fact, it's like all but confirmed in the very next scene, because Sam dreams of following a trail of dog treats out in the park at night, and he comes across Sarah's dog, who is dead and rotting on the path, and then sees Sarah ahead of him, like feasting on the remains of a corpse. And when she turns around, she has like a creepy man's face instead of her own. She
very Mulholland Drive.
Very Mulholland Drive. Very David Lynch in general, because she turns around and barks like a dog at him. And then the body splits in half and disappears into the underbrush on either side of the path by like magic. It's truly terrifying, this part of the film. Like, it was like, holy shit, I'm in for like some Hereditary stuff going on. Pretty wild. I did like it. I was like, okay, I'm on board. Doesn't get used that much, but that's fine. Because this was in fact a dream. But yeah, it's like it's so heavily implied that Sam is the dog killer, but what that truly means is the real mystery of this movie, Gareth. And leans into my overarching theory, so we'll get to that as well. Okay, that's more teasing.
Put more pins in the board, listeners.
Put them more. This is all important. Anyway, so yeah, following morning he goes to see Sarah again, like he said, but her entire apartment has been cleared out completely. It's completely empty, as if no one lived there. And he's like, what the fuck? Goes to see his landlord, who, by the way, has like a fantastic set behind him. Whoever set up this landlord's office, so many good little details here. I was just really impressed with the set dressing. He says that they left like forfeiting their deposit, and there wasn't anything really weird about their disappearance. He's like, maybe she just like didn't like you. That's why she didn't say anything. He also reminds him that he's going to now be evicted in 4 days. So we're counting down the clock. He goes and tells his friend at the bar. That's the character's name, friend at the bar. Played by Topher Grace. I just call him Topher Grace because it's Topher Grace. And like a funny little hat as well for most of this movie. Just tells him the whole weird story, and Topher Grace is just like, that's weird, man. And that's sort of all he does throughout this whole movie. Just sort of muses on like different ideas, and then just goes like, boy howdy, that's weird, okay. And that's it. He does bring up the dog killer to Sam. A lot of people bring up the dog killer to him, and he sort of avoids talking about it. In fact, in this scene, he tears up a little piece of paper and also corrects him. Like, Topher says, have you heard about these dog killers? And Sam's like, it's just the one killer, actually.
Hot fuzz.
Yeah. So there you go. So it's so clear that he's the dog killer. It's like not at all a mystery, but that's fine.
Yeah, it's just like, I think when you watch this movie, like so much stuff gets thrown at you that you kind of forget the dog killer by a certain point.
Yeah, there's a lot of extra stuff. It's just everyone keeps talking about the dog killer, and yeah, it's like supposed to be painted as the big mystery of the film, but it isn't really. Like you think you're going to find out about the dog killer, but it's just background noise because it's not a mystery to Sam is the important part.
Yes.
Yeah. And so he's not at all interested in that.
That's a really good way to think about all the loose threads this movie leaves, is like, they're not what he's interested in. They're not a mystery to him. Like, maybe he already knows some of the stuff. Yeah. That's cool.
I think so.
Yeah.
But anyway, he, unsatisfied with this description by the landlord, he goes back to the apartment and breaks in, and goes into Sarah's cupboard and finds like a box of her stuff in there, the dolls from earlier in there. And he takes a Polaroid photo of her from it. Classic noir detective move with a Polaroid photo. Love that. And then, he hears someone come in and quickly like dives out the window. And it's a girl we don't recognize, who just comes in, picks up the box of Sarah's stuff and takes it away in a bag. And Sam's like, what the fuck? And we go into money, and as we do, she leaves and closes the door behind her, and we see that 2 diamonds have been like etched into the wall, side by side. An important symbol for later. Anyway, so Sam's like, what is going on here? And decides to like become a detective in this moment. Yeah. Sam like tails her, and she hops into like just like incognito walking down the street. There's graffiti that is a clue for the coffee menu code that I'm avoiding talking about.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And this girl gets picked up in a car, and he follows in his car, which is not at all incognito because there's a giant cock and balls etched into it. You would think you'd notice that in your rear view, but whatever. They go along their merry way. They stop at like a sports field, get out, and Sam is like watching them from across the road, and makes a note of the symbol that he saw earlier. And then the scorecard at the stadium flashes up the numbers 751. And he's like, what? And then they just get back in the car and drive on. And you're like, what? And so he writes that down as well. They head to Echo Park Lake, which is like a LA place. I've learned a lot of like LA geography as part of watching this movie. Echo Park Lake, and they go out here and hire a pedal boat, which is hilarious because Sam also hires a pedal boat to go back into hot pursuit mode. It's hilarious that there's this like hot pursuit stakeout in a pedal boat in this movie.
Yes.
Very funny. Coincidentally, 751 Echo Park Lane is the address for this boat shop, boat hire place. So that's why they came here. It's the code. In real life as well. And
Money is isn't it the 5th track on Dark Side of the Moon? It's in 7/4 time.
Ooh.
And it's about one thing. Money.
And that thing's money, baby.
Yeah.
We aren't in Money though. We're in Us and Them, Gareth, at this point. Tragically. Because I did say
that's a song about 2.
Yeah. Dang it. That's not in the number 751. Numerology has failed us yet again.
Unless you were supposed to wait one song before starting the album to truly get the...
Maybe. Oh, no. So Us and Them is playing, and it's weirdly chill, like, tail music, which I enjoy. Like, him in the pedal boat with Us and Them playing in the background is a good vibe, honestly.
Yeah. I wrote kind of songs.
Yeah, it kind of works. Anyway, we see these girls are just pedal boating to the other side of the lake. They pull up on the shore and hand the bag off to the bloody pirate guy that we saw earlier, and we're like, oh fuck, the pirate, who just like fucking takes off at a run, which is really funny.
He wants so bad to be so incognito, but he's a pirate.
It's so funny. Well, it's just like LA things, I guess. Like you just see a pirate like running down the road with a Banana Republic bag, and you're like, yeah, so it goes. Anyway, Sam can't pursue this guy, obviously, because he's in a pedal boat. There's no way to like get after this guy who's like beating the pavement. Anyway, he continues instead to follow the girls who now go to. He's been following them like all day. They go to a rooftop party, which when he arrives, these two ladies introduce it as Purgatory. I'm unsure as to the significance of Purgatory, but that's fine. There's a live performance by a band called Jesus and the Dracula Brides going on.
Yeah.
Who are a in-universe band. And yeah, there's a lot of talk about Jesus and the Dracula Brides. I do love that later on in the movie, one of them says that they were originally the Brides of Frankenstein because they were worried that the vampire thing would be overplayed. Lots of like funny like aside lines like that in this movie.
Yeah, their song that it keeps playing like at the show and later on the record is actually real good.
It's a great song.
I listen to it in my free time.
Yeah, music in this movie, I believe. I don't know if he was involved in this band, but like the score was done by Disaster Piece, who also did the music for the previous film from this director, It Follows.
Which is a perfect film. Like for all we're clowning on this film for being completely messy. Is It Follows is like a clean,
it's really good
film that meets its own ambitions perfectly, which is astounding that it's the same director and writer.
Right? Yeah. But yeah, good score, I would say as well. Like that we are completely covering up with Dark Side of the Moon.
And the song is, I think, written by the band Silver Sun Pickups.
Oh my god, the Silver Sun Pickups.
Do you know them?
I do know them.
Real cool.
That's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
Oh,
man, great stuff. Okay. Anyway, in the crowd there is a girl covered in balloons. Notably, this character is called Balloon Girl, and with good reason. She is doing a dance here as part of the performance? ? Maybe not. She's just sort of doing her thing, dancing around. She must be involved because everyone's been given pins. Sam was given a pin when he came into this performance, and as part of this dance, people pop all the pins that Balloon Girl has, except for one. And Sam throws away his pin very quickly because he's trying to be incognito and doesn't want to pop this last balloon because presumably, like, something happens when you pop the last balloon, you know? Like, maybe they have to kiss? I don't know. Anyway, he throws it away being like, oh, God, don't talk to me. Anyway, he does continue to stalk the girls that he's tailing. He like goes into the pool and hides behind an inflatable beach ball, which is very funny. And they're just talking about the band, who they just came to see this band. They love Jesus and the Brides. And I haven't chat about it. It seems to be fairly pedestrian what they're talking about. He like goes into the girls' bathroom and accosts the one who was in Sarah's house, being like, hey, do you know this girl? And she just sort of brushes him off, spits gum in his face, and he like grabs her and then she kicks him in the nuts in self-defense and like sends him down as Pink Floyd sing Down and Out in Us and Them, which he bloody is. And then some girls come into the bathroom and shout abuse at him, being like, you can't be here. This is the girls' bathroom. And we get a cut to Sam's perspective, and all of the girls are just barking dogs. Like, all of the voices are over, like, ADR dogs coming in. All caps. So he heads back out into the party, but all the girls have gone, obviously, after this, because, who wouldn't? So he's lost that lead. He runs into a guy that he knows, friend, ? Alan, who's played by Jimmy Simpson. I love this actor. Love this guy. Especially in Westworld. But yeah, I do like him in this movie. He just sort of plays like a coked up friend of that drives the plot forward, but not really has a character. He's just a good good presence. Yeah, he sees that he's trying to chase down these girls but has no leads, and we get into Any Color You Like, and we see that the daughter of Jefferson Sevens is here, gets recognized as Millicent Sevens at this party, one of the few named characters other than Alan and Sam and Sarah.
She has a last name as well.
She's out here having like a good time at the party, which Alan says is not a classy move, while her dad is kidnapped. But Sam says it's hard to know what a person might do when they're in pain, which I think is a super important line that gets really glossed over in this movie. Like, I think that like really sums up my main theory, and I'm going to circle back to it.
Okay.
Anyway, so they get invited to a Secret Jesus in the Bride's show. Secret Jesus show is all I've written down, which is hilarious. And the ticket to this show is a cookie that's been numbered. Sam gets the cookie number 76. I don't believe 76 is important, but anyway. I
mean, 751. 5 plus 1 is 6. 76.
True. Good point. There we go. Thing lining up there. That's a dot, a line drawn between two dots. Perfect. Yeah. So a girl, unnamed girl here at the party, sees on her phone that a news report has come out, a tweet, in fact, that Jefferson Sevens has been killed in a fiery car wreck. And we watched this news reach the ears of his daughter Millicent in real time. We see like the news rippling around the room, and then someone coming over and whispering in her ear, and we see like it's really well acted. Her demeanor like completely changes, and she immediately leaves, like in slow motion, like going into this elevator. It's really dramatic and really well shot. And yeah, it's like the shift in this character is again like sort of we'll get there. So yeah, Sam walks home from this party and gets a call from the author of Under the Silver Lake, which he sent his number to, and they say that they're going to meet up the following day. He gives them his address or whatever. Sam looks over his shoulder a lot as we're walking through the park here, and we creepily see like silhouettes of people just standing there and staring at him. One even appears like right in front of him. It's fucking terrifying. This is like full Oogie Boogie, Gareth. These guys are unexplained. It's just I believe they're just representations of paranoia, but they freak him out, and he hides in the bushes when he gets home and gets sprayed in the face by a skunk. Which rough stuff. Bad.
It also proves that their visions just then weren't a dream, because the skunk exists in real life.
Yeah, the skunk gets them
to make it more confusing.
Yeah. Potentially, I have a theory as to why these are happening as well. But anyway.
Oh yeah.
I guess I could
Are
get
all the
into
dogs he's killed?
Yeah, it could be that, but I think it's mostly like the parties. He tends to have parties and then has these like weird visions afterwards. I think it's like he's on drugs and like it's heightening his paranoia. And then like the skunk is all real, but he's seeing things that aren't there, and that's driving him to like freak out and hide and do all this weird stuff. Anyway, that's just my theory, but we haven't seen him do any drugs in the movie, so it's just like I think the parties, as like in the movie themselves, are representations of him doing drugs. So anyway, we'll get there.
It's pretty implied he does drugs.
Yeah,
all of his interests, and anyway, God, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm sorry.
It's okay. We go into brain damage as Sam like strips off his clothes as we get this news report on Jefferson Sevens' death on TV, and he like pauses the screen with TiVo, and because amongst the bodies were 3 prostitutes presumed and a small dog, a Bichon Frise, in fact, a Bichon Frise. And yeah, like he's like, what? And then like pauses the broadcast, and this guy, there's a policeman on screen carrying a hat, which matches the hat that Sarah is wearing in the photo, the Polaroid photo that he has, identifying her as also a victim in this crash and potentially a prostitute. So he's like freaked out by that because now she's like dead. Not only is she missing, but presumed dead. Crazy. What is happening here? There's something going on for sure. Yeah. So yeah, in order to clear off the skunk smell, Sam takes a bath in tomato soup. Apparently, I don't know if this is actually a cure for getting skunked, but maybe it is.
That's an urban myth.
Really?
It doesn't help. Yeah.
Makes sense because because he still smells of skunk for like the remaining X days. So yeah. But while this is happening, we get another aside because the actress is also here hanging out and reads another copy of Under the Silver Lake here. And we get an animated thing of this for The Owl's Kiss, who is a serial killer with a woman's body who wears nothing at all but a mask made of owl skin and goes around seducing men and women of LA alike and then kills them. Sort of a supernatural force, she is described as, but all too real in the eyes of the author of Under the Silver Lake. And yeah, the actress is like, yeah, whatever, sure. Owl's Kiss. We'll come back to it. Sam talks about hidden messages in music, which is exactly our purview. And
he even says, like, are these things exactly what we think they are during the line Dark Side of the Moon?
Yeah, baby. There it is.
Oh, boy.
Hard to argue with that one.
Yeah. Feeling pretty judged.
Yeah. You got us. You got us, Sam, all right? Like, you got us, director.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's talking about all these musical theories and stuff, the satanic messages if you like backmasked tracks and things like that. He explains his notes that he was taking. He has a theory where watching Wheel of Fortune, he noticed that Vanna White does a pattern of glances where she always looks in certain directions every time. And he's trying to work out if this pattern that he spotted is a hidden message, like she's trying to communicate something. Pink Floyd also sing "You shout, but no one seems to hear" when he says this, which is interesting as well.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So yeah, this like secret message thing. It's just as bizarre as what we do, honestly.
Yeah, honestly, he's starting his own show.
Yeah, the Vanna White pod. Yeah, the actress like looks at him weird, and then he goes like even further. He like goes on this like insane monologue about how there are hidden messages in all media and secrets and codes that aren't meant for regular people. And yeah, they're both encoded to manipulate the masses and also like communicate among the mega elite. Is like his like whole thing. I mean, she like gets weirded out by this and says that it's a little weird and then just leaves. As we go into the end of our first playthrough of the album, Eclipse, and into the heartbeats.
So there could be something to be said about the fact he kind of lays out the thesis statement of the film right as the album ends, you know?
Yeah, could be. Could be a thing.
But that could also be a self-fulfilling prophecy, which is also what this movie seems to encourage.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so we see Sam doing this exact thing, watching Wheel of Fortune and Vanna White, etc. And he sees Sarah out swimming in the pool, nude, and he goes out there and is like, what? And then she turns around and barks at him like a dog, again, proving that this is another dream. And he looks down and like she like jumps into the pool and then there's no one in there. Yeah, right as we have these heartbeats between the playthroughs. It's pretty dramatic, actually. It's like a bit intense. The following morning, we also see that Sarah's apartment is now a crime scene due to her being involved and linked in this car wreck. So no more investigation there. Not that there's anything to find. Heading back in to speak to me, the next day, and his car gets towed away because he hasn't been making the payments on it. Again, he's been distracted by these mysteries and everything else in his life that he's not actually like fixing his own life. He's getting caught up in the minutiae of all this like silly stuff when he should be paying attention to more important things. Anyway, the tow truck takes off and we go into a breathe. He's so he is now walking to his destination, and we see a billboard advertising optique lenses, and with the phrase "I can see clearly now" written on it. At the most insane clue in the bottom left corner of this billboard is a clue for like the key puzzle where it just says E equals EE, which is like the final clue you need to solve something, which is just bananas that it's this like incredibly small thing on screen that people found. Love it.
Would they have just faked all this in post, or do you reckon they built like
almost definitely
this EE sign?
The billboard looks pretty fake to me personally, especially when it gets covered up at the end of the movie. There's some like incredibly fake looking like workers up there. But anyway, it's just me,
just little army men.
Yeah, basically. It just looks like too close to the ground and lit wrong is the issue. Anyway. I'm splitting hairs. So he rocks up to the author of the Under the Silver Lake, the little zine, who's credited as comic fan, but I just call him the author most of my notes. He's played by Patrick Fischler, who is he's great. He's the creepiest part of the David Lynch movie Mulholland Drive, Gareth. And I love to see him here because he's a perfect fit. So
I was all ready to be like, and David Dasmatian's here from Dune, and then it's not him, it's Patrick Fisher.
Yeah.
And then I freak out when it is, the guy from Mulholland Drive who's in the dream sequence that we referenced earlier.
Oh my God.
And to put a bow on this linking of Mulholland Drive, the only film we haven't been able to give a definite sync to.
Oh, right, yeah.
And the other this LA mystery, and also the Mysterious Boys in Pink Floyd. What are Patrick Fisher's initials?
Oh, shit.
P and F, like Pink Floyd.
Oh my God, he's got us.
Right? All along.
Oh, wow.
He's unsinkable because he is Pink Floyd.
He is Pink Floyd.
Yeah.
Whoa. What is his... Well, of course he'd be in this movie. That makes perfect sense. Okay, that's another ball of string that I need to buy for my pinboard. So he's a creepy old boy, and I love him. And he's just playing like a weirdo here and loving it. He's got a collection of life masks in his house, which is like casts of famous people's faces used for TV and statues. It's very creepy. There's a great line that he says about, he's like, man, I should get a family. And then he's like, these people, they need to be remembered. And that's like undercutting what he's like. He is so out of it that he is like not seeing the forest for the trees with that statement. It's so good. Anyway, so this author... immediately identifies the symbol that was drawn in Sarah's room when asked about it as the hobo code symbol for stay quiet. He even gives Sam a little pamphlet, which he probably made on these symbols that hobos use to communicate to each other on the street. Hobo code, I believe, is like very much a real thing, but I don't think it's like, I don't think these symbols are accurate to real life, but that's fine.
I think some of the ones you see in the book are real. Like,
okay.
I recognize some from like, I went into deep dive about them in university.
Cool.
I got real into the one that means it's like, it's safe to sleep here. I used to like have a sticker of that on my laptop, which makes no sense. Why would I sleep on a laptop?
It's sort of implying that you like aren't doing as much work as you should be.
It's safe to sleep behind my laptop while pretending to work.
There you go. but only for those who know this hobo code. We go into On the Run here, and yeah, this guy's like a little bit off the deep end. He's like, I just assumed that the owl's kiss has something to do with everything.
Yeah.
Even the $1 bill, where he identifies there's a little owl as part of the design on there, and he says that this is proof that we all live under the owl's kiss's jurisdiction. It's like, okay, dude. Yeah. He then goes on a tangent about codes and subliminal messages, mainly focusing on sex and advertising. We get a lot of examples of these just flashed on screen as if they like through montage style. As a statement in this movie, I think this is a little bit shallow because there's a lot of like needless sex in this movie.
Yeah, and a lot of needless female nudity and male gazy kind of stuff.
Yeah, I don't know if it's being like, isn't this world fucked up? Like, look at all this sex in this movie, and also sex and advertising. It's all linked, guys. I don't know if that's the thesis or the statement, but it doesn't work for me. I'm like,
yeah,
it sort of felt like a little bit cheap to do this and then also have your cake and eat it too kind of thing. But anyway.
Yeah, it's very much, it's kind of like why I say this movie's boneheaded, is it's like,
yeah,
it's very much like trying to say like, oh, Hollywood treats women like wrong, which it does, but it's saying that while also, yeah, exactly, showing a
just
lot of like nudity and then not naming female characters and like them not having any agency other than to be killed to advance the plot.
Yeah.
I think it's a film that could have been helped quite a lot by having like a female co-writer or any kind of co-writer, just to kind of take him out of this world, the writer out of his deep world, and kind of like remind him who people are.
Yeah. That tracks as a theory for me. God. Yeah, it's just, it just is so bad the way that like a lot of the nude scenes are just like really unnecessary as well. It's just like people don't need to be nude in this scene for me to get it, and it's not advancing the plot in any way. It's just like, I get that like Sam is a gross guy and he cares about this stuff, and so I guess like as the audience we have to care about it, but I'm just like, I don't know. It's just it was too much.
And like considering It Follows is such a like sensitive kind of movie that doesn't like slut shame anyone or anything like that, and is like quite a sex positive film for a movie about a demon that kills you if you have sex. Yeah, like for then this to be like, just feels so just kind of mansplaining about women's rights.
Pretty bizarre.
Yeah. Oh, well. There's a nude scene in this that I absolutely hate. That's also the poster, and I think it's kind of like the worst part of the film, but we'll get to that.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Cool. Something you don't like. It's like, for dessert we're having nails, and you're like, cool.
I will enjoy eating all the nails. Thank you. Is there any milk? He's like monitored up his house, the creepy guy, to prevent the owl's kiss from getting to him. He monitors it and videotapes everything. And we look around his room, and it's like a combination of the like Pepe Sylvia strings and codes and things. There's even a cipher for part of the codes in this movie, which you can use, and mixed in with like childish stuff like little statues and handmade things, handmade little figurines and things like that. So clearly this guy is like never grown up kind of. But anyway, so his closest lead, he talks about like the big secret, the grand conspiracy that he's working his way towards, and it involves a cereal box, like lenticular map that you overlay to like find secret spacemen. And he's like, we get the crash sound over this, which I find funny as hell, as if it was like some kind of grand dramatic reveal. It is for him, but it's not for anyone else. He does cite the fact that the map is a geographically to scale map for the Hollywood area, which is a bizarre detail, I will admit. Pretty sure the cereal isn't real, but I'm not entirely certain. I don't live in America. That this kind of thing was real, having these like cereal box competitions and things coming in.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and his like idea that his whole life's worth is figuring out what this
means.
Box map means.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. Silly.
Yeah, so we get the clocks going off in time here, obviously, as Sam goes to visit Topher Grace. Again, just to be like, this weird shit's happening, and Topher Grace is like, yeah, that's fucked up, man. See ya. And goes to a graveyard where a short film is being projected on screen. Or like, actually, maybe a real film. I don't know.
This film's not real, but... Yeah. I was going to say, but the people in it are real. I was like,
whoa.
Of course you dummy.
No, it's an animated feature. No.
Oh, yeah.
The girls, the real girls who are starring in the film are in the back, hanging out near where Sam is, and he like recognized them as the people in the film. And he's like, hey, you're the actress in the film. That's cool. And she's like, yeah. And they just sort of like chat for a bit. And get ushered into a limo going to a party, and the door of the limo is closed by the goddamn pirate guy.
Yes.
We're back on the trail, Gareth. And like he flips and tries to like go after them. I don't know how he follows the limo. Again, he doesn't have a car, but sure. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he just goes to the next scene. I don't know.
No, because he's at the Hollywood Forever gravestones.
Yeah.
And then he goes to the mausoleum that's there as well. So he
kind
of realizes
he
may have once been Spider-Man, but Andrew Garfield's not fast enough.
True. Absolutely. Right. So he just goes to the mausoleum here for the secret Dracula Brides show. Jesus and the Dracula Brides. And as part of entry is instructed to bite the cookie that he's been given to get let in. And he has the whole thing in one go.
He looks adorable eating it.
He does. It's really funny. Very slovenly, but adorable. This is a weird, like, sad art show gig that we're in down at the mausoleum, which I guess is appropriate. But there's like a bassoon. It's wild. And we're having Great Gig as well, which is the Pink Floyd song most likely to involve a bassoon.
That's true.
So that's good.
There is a bassoon on that song. It just, they forgot to mic it.
Dude, bassoons are so hard to hear regardless. It's the joke.
Oh, really?
One of the orchestra jokes is that no one can hear the bassoon. No one can hear what it's playing at all. It's like a Bill Bailey bit where he has like a whole orchestra and has the whole orchestra play a song, and the bassoon player is playing something completely different, and no one can tell. It's great.
Oh man, give me a bassoon.
Yeah, man.
No, I'd love to be in a band but not do anything. That's my secret dream.
It's a really impressive looking instrument as well. So yeah, I feel like it would be an easy one to fake.
Yeah.
Shout out. If you play the bassoon, get at me. Fight me on Twitter, please.
And shout out to the bassoon player we've hired for every episode of this show, has been bassooning away just unheard.
In the background, yeah. They've been providing a wonderful service throughout 90
Yeah, it's honestly the best part of the show, but yeah, no one can hear it.
Oh, well, yeah. So it goes.
Yeah. I love bassoons. They're so big.
Yeah, they're hilarious. Sam is handed a free copy of the record. This is like for the show. And also runs into Alan again, who's just like hanging out here. And he says that he heard from somebody that there's a hidden message in this music and of Jesus and the Brides, which is, he's speaking my language. Sam also says that Balloon Girl is here and goes over to chat with her, complimenting her dance from last night. And yeah, she's like, oh, cool. That's enough for Balloon Girl. He asks her about Sarah, and she does know her. And so they go to like an even more underground part of the mausoleum, a different club down here called the Crypt Club, which seems like a bit more fun and a bit more kitschy than the actual mausoleum. So that's good. Where there are gravestone tables and things. And yeah, Balloon Girl says she doesn't know what happened to her, Sarah, that is, and also says that there's no hidden music in the music, hidden message in the music of Jesus and the Dracula Brides. And she says, it's silly wasting your energy on something that doesn't matter. And she says this right before blowing up a balloon and popping it. Like, I love that's her mentality. Like, because balloons are so fleeting as an idea. Like, they're like a very live in the moment kind of thing. And that's also her character. So, you know, I just think that's tidy.
Yeah. It takes the sting away for us who have now watched this movie, like, have spent 5 hours with this movie and now recording. And you know, it's okay to waste your time on things that don't matter.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I'm relieved. I wish I had a Balloon Girl to tell me that. It just hanging out. So we go into money and they're like dancing and hitting it off when Sam starts having a bad trip. Due to the cookie that he wolfed down. It was one of those drug cookies filled with drugs. And yeah, he goes and throws up in the bathroom, and then when he comes out, Balloon Girl is nowhere around. And he sees in the distance instead that girl from Sarah's apartment, one of the girls he was tailing. And like chases her through the graveyard, yelling out for her to stop. And she's obviously terrified of this stranger. And he like can't keep up and passes out because of the drugs. And we see him waking up the following morning in the graveyard to another call from his mum, who's like checking in on him again in 2 days, I will note. Important. And he is lying on top of the grave of her favorite actress, of his mum's favorite actress, Janet Gaynor, who is resurfacing again. And walks home and sees that big billboard one more time as well. So he goes home, starts playing with Super Mario Bros. With Topher Grace on the NES. Topher Grace not starring in Super Mario Brothers. It made it sound like he was. He's not one of the Mario Brothers. He would make a good Mario, though, actually. I could see him jumping up and down.
He gets home and starts playing a hacked version of Super Mario Bros. Where Topher Grace is the main character.
I bet you, if any actor has made a Super Mario hack, it's Topher Grace.
Oh, of course. I forgot about that Topher Grace, to relax, edits movies. Oh, man. We need to get him on the pod and find out if his vision of Star Wars syncs with Dark Side of the Moon.
Absolutely. I feel like if we could get any celebrity, this is not shade on Topher Grace. I feel like he would be the most down to be on our show. Yeah, that's a glowing, not condemnation, glowing recommendation of Topher Grace, honestly. What a good guy. I think he'd just be down for it.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. He's again talking about, like, mysteries and secret codes and stuff, and how in the modern age there's nothing left to discover as an idea, which again is sort of half-baked in this movie, I think. But whatever. We go into Money's second verse here as now he's trying to work out this hidden message in the album, playing it over and over again, writing out the lyrics on a pizza box. The lyrics to the song Turning Teeth is the name of the song. Playing it backwards, doing the backmasking thing, not doing anything. This is where he does the horrible going into his room and like jerks off over a pile of media, trying to like put together the mystery, I guess, but also jerk off. It's gross. And at random, he turns a page of the porno magazine in front of him, the Playboy, and discovers an ad here for a company called Shooting Star, like a call girl kind of service. but it's featuring photos of the two girls that were in the movie that he was looking at, that he watched the last night, and went off with the pirate guys. So he's like, aha. And he calls the service and gets one of them to come round and asks her questions about Sarah. And she's like, here trying to do the whole call girl thing, you know?
Yeah.
And is sort of a little, not really evasive of the question, but like, is just like, yeah, doesn't care. She saw her once long ago at this bizarre party, which she describes as like full Gatsby, which I enjoyed. Like a massive mega party in a whole neighborhood where you could roam around everywhere and just drink and be merry. And like she says, but we could go anywhere except for one large gated part of the neighborhood up on the hill. And she was like, yeah, I don't know. Apparently it belonged to some songwriter. And we'll get to him. Yeah.
Oh, we'll get to him.
We'll get to him. Ustin then comes in with the solo, and Sam tries to he goes after this like call girl aside, goes back to his secret codes and cracking the case, and uses the letters in Turning Teeth to decode a message in the lyrics of the other song on this EP, Surrounded by a Dove, which is a hilarious song title, by the way. And yeah, he like uses the sequence of like the number of letters in one song along the letters of the other song and the lyrics of the other song to uncover the message, rub Dean's head and wait under Newton, which is cool. It's like a fun little like cracking the case moment.
Yeah, it's a pretty like zany thing to do, you know, like count the letters in the words of a song and then use them on a completely different thing to try to figure out a secret message. That'd be like, imagine if we counted out the letters of every song on Dark Side of the Moon and then put it next to the script of Under the Silver Lake and tried to find out a secret message. Anyway, so I did that.
What did you find?
So there's no easy computer program that will do this for you. So I had to get all the lyrics out, count them myself in a Word doc. So obviously, you know, you get breathe, 7 letters, breathe, 7 letters, in, 2, the, 3, air, 3, etc., etc. So I ended up with a big Word doc of just numbers after numbers.
Yeah.
And then I found the script to Under the Silver Lake, which, by the way, the first page of is the actual cover of the Playboy that he likes.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, I had to quickly delete that off the PDF because it was on my work computer. And then I started highlighting random letters, the letters that correspond. So the first letter, 7 letters into the script, is H. And then 7 more letters is E. And then 2 is L. And then E, D. And I'm like, okay, he led.
Or held.
Okay. Or, yeah, led. So I keep going. I get another D. I get an O. And I get an I. Right now, I've got he led. Do I?
Oh.
Could it be do I follow? That would be amazing. Do I? But even if it stops here, even if the rest is chaos, I've got he led. Do I? 2 full-ish sentences that just kind of slightly change perspective. And then I get CLIALONTNNNWCFH, and I give up because the rest is gibberish.
Well,
and that is the secret message of Pink Floyd and Under the Silver Lake.
Perfect. There we go. We found it. We cracked it. Give it to the cipher people. They'll figure it out. Just send the documents in and be like, hey guys, I did this. Can you identify what it means? Oh, that'll be great. Just the biggest red herring. Amazing. So
he led. Do I?
He led. Do I? We'll find out what that means. I'm sure. So after cracking this case, rub Dean's head and wait under Newton. He determines this to be at Griffith Park, an observatory, which is like an LA feature show. Like most people know it. I recognized it from BoJack Horseman, of all places.
Yeah.
Plays a big role in the story of that show. And yeah, he goes there and rubs the statue of James Dean's head before waiting under the statue of like famous scientific discoverers. There's a word there that I'm missing. Yeah, sits under a statue of Isaac Newton and waits there for a while. And then the homeless king comes out. And yeah, it's a homeless guy with a crown made of cardboard, spray painted gold. He's the homeless king. And I can't make that any clearer.
Yeah.
That's who he is. Without any further explanation. He says that he'll take Sam where he's looking to go, and gives him a blindfold, and then, leads him down the path. We get a couple of interesting conversation pieces with the homeless king here as they're walking a long way. And Sam hears a dog barking and gets freaked out by it, but it's actually a coyote. And the homeless king has some advice about coyotes. He says that if you see one, you shouldn't run away. You should follow it and see where it goes, because the coyotes own the world and we just live in it. It's some, mysticism kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's what separates us from the homeless king, is we're not following coyotes enough.
It's true. The few coyotes to follow, there's even fewer skunks. So, it's tough out here in New Zealand.
God, and I'll probably try to follow a coyote and I'll drop my bus card and hit my butt on the turnstile.
Oh, no. All these coyotes getting on the bus. God damn. Yeah. Impossible. Yeah.
Well, the road runners are just in their cars getting there quicker.
Yeah. And then they slam into the wall and you're like, maybe I shouldn't have been on that bus.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brain damage kicks off here. The lunatic is on the grass, and the blindfold gets lifted off Sam, and he is in a underground like tunnel or bunker, and explores this like huge open cavern, which expands out into like multiple different directions, and then opens up onto what can only be described as an Egyptian tomb door. With a giant like eye like engraved into it, and you're like, whoa, okay. I love that this is all explained. Inside there's a it goes inside this door, and inside is a fairly modern looking room with like boxes and plastic covered furniture and 4 toilets and 4 sinks. Also, coming out of the roof, and a very tongue-in-cheek touch, there are full-on green Mario pipes, because we're underground, baby. Very, very funny, very surreal. So he's like just looking around at all this weird stuff, assumes that it's like a bomb shelter or something, and then comes up, goes through a tunnel and appears behind the fridge door in a supermarket behind the milk. Love this touch. This is a really like classic childhood mystery thing, being like, what's behind the back of the milk? Like, how do they, there's a space back there. What goes on there? Like that's a very classic dumb little mystery that kids get obsessed with. And I love that it's like there's this grand overarching thing in this movie that's behind it. It's so good.
When this happened in this movie, by the way, like he finds a secret message, goes to some tunnels, ends up back of a supermarket. This was when I first watched it, the moment I was most into it. I was like, this is perfect for me.
Yeah, it's bananas, because you're just like, none of this is like, he's cracked this case and like does the thing, and then it just gets so wild from there. You're like, oh my God, like you as an audience member feel out of your depth, like, which is really, really good, because that's exactly how the character feels. It's so good. He's like stumbled upon something that's not at all meant for him.
Yeah. Speaking of like childhood mysteries, did you ever want to, as a kid, get locked in the mall overnight?
What? I think that would be horrifying.
Oh no!
I was a very scared child, as I will remind you. So I feel like I would have been too spooked, too oogie boogied to participate in such a dream. Were you really into that?
Yeah, I really wanted, like, I got locked in the mall and I get to read all the books in the bookstore and like eat all the food.
That's quite sweet. I like that.
But I loved reading the books at the bookstore that I didn't buy. Like, most of the Captain Underpants books I got through just as a kid, sitting hidden away around the corner of, like, the most unused section of the bookstore, just reading and then remembering where I was when it was time to go.
Man. And
then coming back like a week later, picking up the book and continuing.
That's a high stakes book to read at the bookstore because they have fliporamas in the Captain Underpants books. If you've not read Captain Underpants, this part of the podcast is incomprehensible. But yeah.
Actually, I will say I didn't flip the fliporamas because I didn't want to get in trouble with the bookstore employees.
There you go.
But then later, I remember going to a friend's house, like a family friend, and it was maybe a party. I snuck off and found their Captain Underpants books and did the fliporamas
Completed the loop. You risked your friendship instead of, like, the public shame of tearing a book in a bookstore. I respect that. I respect that choice. That's hilarious.
Oh, man. Shout out to Captain Underpants.
Shout out. Good stuff. Dan Pilkey, I believe, is the author. Dav Pilkey. Sorry. Yeah. Anyway.
Great guy.
So we back to the film. We go to the Silver Lake author's house. Sam goes down there, and we see that that's now a crime scene. And we're like, what? How is he connected? The police officer says that this guy has killed himself. And we're like, whoa, came out of nowhere. Pink Floyd agree because they say can't think of anything to say as we're, I believe, mid great gig here. Actually, no, we're in brain damage, aren't we?
Yeah.
I need to work out where we are. Yeah, we're in brain damage. Sorry. Sam, like, not satisfied with the guy saying that he killed himself. There must be some, like, grander conspiracy because his whole world is upside down right now. Waits until the officers leave before sneaking in to have a look. And sees the guy's bed like covered in blood. And we go into Eclipse and he uncovers the like secret panel from earlier and goes and checks out the guy's security tapes to see what really happened. And we watch, he rewinds it and we watch the scene and the goddamn owl's kiss, who is real, comes in and stares at the camera and scares the hell out of Sam and us. And we're like, what? The owl's kiss was real? And he grabs the cereal box, the key to everything or whatever, and then gets really, really freaked out and leaves. And fair enough. He loved that the owl's kiss is real. Quote unquote real. We call Alan on the phone just to get in touch with him. He says, I need you to get me in touch with Jesus, which is very funny. And the funniest scene in the whole movie to me is Alan explaining where he's taking him, because it's like a 3-second scene when he's driving Sam to this party. He's like, it's a chess party where the rich guys, he invites people he likes and hot girls around to play chess. That's it. It's like really, really quick description, and then they're just at the party. It's just such a funny cut with so much information. And like, it's just such a bizarre way to establish like chess as being part of this as an idea. Oh, it's so funny. Anyway, Speak to Me coming in, playthrough 3, going into Breathe, as we're at this chess party. We see that everybody, most of our suspects are here. We've got Shooting Star girls, we've got the balloon girl, and we've got Dracula's brides, and Jesus himself. Jesus gets up to go to the loo, and Sam accosts him while he's on the toilet and beats the hell out of him, trying to he's like, why did you put a secret message in your songs? And Jesus doesn't know anything about this code that he's talking about, but he reluctantly reveals that he didn't write any of the hit songs that his band have. In fact, he was convinced to record them by the label, and he was told not to ask too many questions about it. The only information that he got was they were written by the songwriter. And we've heard that name before. We've heard that the way that's said before. And so Sam just abandons Jesus here and drops Jesus like a stone and goes to ask the shooting star girl to take him to that gated neighborhood from the party story that she mentioned. So they do that. So he sneaks into this area, climbs the fence and goes up to this like beautiful house. The house is like a painting, like deliberately done, like a painted fake backdrop, reminding me of the movie House. Which is really good. And goes into this property. There's a tennis court here with a stave of music notes on it. And a fun little Easter egg here is that these music notes create the melody, well, like a part of the melody from It Follows, the previous film. That's what these notes, it's like the da 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 boom sound in that score. Again, same composer for both movies, so it's just a nice little like shout out to Disaster Piece, I think.
But it's also in the universe of this film saying that the songwriter who we're about to meet wrote the score for It Follows, and It Follows is part of this conspiracy and is supposed to alert the rich of something.
Maybe.
Oh boy. Anyway.
So we sneak into this guy's house and we encounter the songwriter. This is a like big scene. He's in a room full of instruments. Presumably he has a bassoon. And
we hope.
The songwriter himself is at a grand piano just playing pop songs over and over again, lots of different pop songs. He claims to have written most of pop music, like most of the hit songs of the modern generation, like going all the way back to like the 1950s and before. He's written
even like Beethoven and stuff is implied.
Right. Like he's this like mythical kind of figure that's written every piece of pop music under the sun and weaved in these secret codes and messages for higher powers in order to make a paycheck in doing so. Sam says like he's like, oh yeah, I'm just trying to make a bit of money, and Sam's like, well, you clearly have everything, and the songwriter pointedly says that no, he doesn't have everything. He's like, no, which is I guess important, but it's like I'm not entirely sure on what this is implying. Like money, like and fame can't buy you happiness. Maybe I don't know.
He's like not rich enough to be the rich elite in this film.
Maybe, yeah.
Like, even though he's written every song.
He's not quite at the level of Sevenths, etc. I don't know.
Yeah.
Either way. He is basically says that he's getting like a sort of sick satisfaction out of like leading the world down the path, like tricking everyone into believing that like different people wrote all these great songs when it's all him. And he's like, he says your art, your writing, your culture is all made from the shell of another man's ambitions. He's basically saying that like media in general is like a business and is not really for you. It's in service of like people, the rich and famous, you know, it's all a business. It's all a sham. And any kind of satisfaction you get out of a piece of media is like pointless and stupid and worth laughing at. Is sort of the idea that this guy is presenting.
And it sounds like really heavy and kind of like prescriptive, I guess, to describe this scene, but it's the best scene in the movie for me. It's like, it's this old ancient man, like the fakest looking old age makeup. Sitting behind a piano, just doing a medley of like every song and just like saying all this in a way that's taunting Sam into like a rage. It's so good. And like, it's brutal to remember that commerce is driving everything that's ever moved us.
Exactly. He's like using it as a weapon to hurt Sam, and like specifically, he has Kurt Cobain's guitar that he used from the one from the poster that Sam has, which is great. And implies that he wrote "Smells Like Teen Spirit." And like by playing it on piano and saying, I wrote it here at the piano. It wasn't, your rebellion didn't mean anything because it was, it's like related to me and what I thought about, you know? Wasn't ever the values of this person that you look up to.
He like blows his nose, picks up the Kleenex, and then that's your wedding song. It's like,
that's what he says. Yeah. Sam like gets heated and like goes in to like confront this guy, and he starts popping off a pistol at him. Like, because obviously he's revealed a lot of these secrets. Tries to kill Sam, and Sam manages to escape these shots. And before the songwriter can reload his gun and shoot him, Sam brutally murders him by bludgeoning his face in with Kurt Cobain's guitar. For this whole sequence, we have On the Run going into time, which honestly is not a bad fit because it's like a slow build of tension and then having the clocks of time coming in. We go like riding into the Money solo right at the end of the scene after he's like beating the crap out of this guy, and like picks up the songwriter's gun here as well. That like
kick in of time with the digging away, where it kind of becomes a song after being just cool vibes, is exactly when the shooting starts as well. Just like almost as if the songwriter's just angry and he's just like, start shooting a gun, and that's like, oh, I've also just written a hit song while doing this.
Exactly. Nice. It just lines up really well with the scene. Pretty happy with it. Again, have a theory about this. We'll cut back now to Sam's apartment, like abruptly after this like brutal scene of violence. He's in a completely different outfit. In fact, he's dressed all in white, like washed out clothes, sort of staring obliquely out into a storm rolling into LA, a rare occurrence. And he wanders around his apartment with the gun that he took from the songwriter, and he is attacked by the Owl's Kiss, who weirdly appears in his house without explanation. Shorter of breath and one day closer to death, Pink Floyd sing as part of time coming back in. This attack from the Owl's Kiss is immediately dropped and interrupted by a policewoman coming in to evict Sam, backed up by the landlord. And they actually give him one more day to come up with the rent. Now, I feel like this is a good part for me to present my theory.
Oh, yes.
Because the Owl's Kiss, like, as you say, is like completely dropped from this movie after here.
Yeah.
The Owl's Kiss, I believe, is a metaphor for suicide in this movie. As an escape from one's sadness. Because... First of all, introduced in the Silver Lake novel sequence, and then we go and visit the guy who wrote it. He's obsessed with the Owl's Kiss and is certain that the Owl's Kiss is coming for him. And then in the very next scene, he has killed himself. Sam is like conflicted and is going through a lot of stuff as part of my theory. Which I will probably get to once we get to the party that's coming up that Millicent Sevens is at. I'll elaborate more here. But he's going through it and is considering killing himself in this moment because the whole sequence with the songwriter, I believe, represents him like... His part of his escape is his love of music and his worship of Kurt Cobain and Nirvana, etc. That's like part of his identity, and coming to terms with the idea that it's tied to big business and his rebellions and things doesn't matter. It's all part of like a downward spiral that he is experiencing. He's like lost that part of what makes him happy. And it's driving him, along with another thing, is driving him towards suicide. And that's why here he's presented in all white clothing, like an insane person in a straitjacket, and is there's like a storm coming into LA, like a storm on the horizon coming for him, and then the Owl's Kiss arrives, trying to kill him. Again, like considering suicide. He has a gun. I just think he's considering suicide, and this is interrupted by the policewoman coming into a victim, like reality swinging into him. Like he's like drawing on all these like things, and they're all piling on top of him, and then it's interrupted by something real happening, and he like is distracted from killing himself, I think is what's happening here.
Okay.
Anyway, I've got more to the theory, but we're going to get there very shortly. All
right, I like it.
Going into
good and deep.
Yeah, going into the
like
next
the Silver
scene,
Lake itself.
Yeah, I'm Silver Lake over here. Going into the next scene, we've got Great Gig coming in right on cue. Sam sees a coyote down by the pool and follows it based on the advice of the homeless king to like a party full of like bougie influencer types. He runs into here the girl from the billboard that we saw earlier, and they clearly know each other from the past.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, yeah, how you doing? How's work, etc. And he's just like, oh, yeah, like sort of brushes her off. It's very awkward. She introduces her fiancé to him, and he's like, oh, yeah, I saw your billboard. That's great. And she's like, yeah, trying to get my name out here. Talking about like trying to make it in LA, much like every other girl in this movie. And it's a very awkward encounter, and it's not at all explained. But my theory, Gareth, is that this is Sam's ex-girlfriend that he is trying to get over throughout this whole movie. She's the one with the dog that he talks about at the end here. I think that he runs into her at this party, and he's been trying to get over this relationship and is like out here doing the dog killer thing. He's like ruined this relationship, and that's why at the end he's carrying around the dog biscuits, etc. Yeah, and like he hasn't gotten over this relationship and is ignoring all kinds of parts of his life. He's like not going into work. He's getting evicted. He's in a state of depression, right? And is focusing on the small things that don't matter, like all the codes and little secrets in his childhood. He's like regressed back to that. And that's like my overarching theory for this movie, is that he's like trying to get over this breakup and is destroying him from the inside out because he's not a healthy person. He's like, he even gets driven towards suicide at one point. And that's my thesis for what this movie is actually about.
Nice. Yeah.
But
it's the movie version of that, like men will literally end up in a deep conspiracy that unravels their whole lives instead of going to therapy.
Yeah, that's exactly the vibe, right? That's exactly the theory. It's also like this is the most real scene in the whole movie to me. This like awkward encounter. It just seems like it's not dwelled on at all, and there's just a bunch of it's just like people interacting at a party. Sam's like very out of it, clearly like got his own stuff going on. He's wearing the white shirt from earlier. He like tried to kill himself earlier in the night, is my theory. And has shown up here at a party that his ex is at, and is sort of like at the end of his tether. So yeah, that's my theory. So
I mean, you could take it like, let's just assume like 80% of this movie is just in his head. Like we'll assume even like the songwriter stuff doesn't happen and all that.
Well, like I feel like it's like heavily metaphorical, a lot of the stuff. Yeah.
But like if we assumed that, and then suddenly, you know, he does have this real life encounter with his ex, and then because what happens next is he immediately gets deep into the conspiracy and then immediately like goes home and solves it essentially.
Yeah.
So like he's really just, you know, deluding himself or like diving too deep into this world to avoid
exactly.
Because And I will say, you're dead right about this being the most real scene. Like, it's kind of the best acting. Even the fiance, I noticed, like, is nailing that kind of awkward boyfriend acting.
Exactly,
like,
right?
Exactly how I feel sometimes.
Yeah. Oh, another clue to my theory as well is his mum calls him regularly throughout the movie, like checks in on him like way more often than a regular 30-year-old or 33-year-old. And it's because she's worried about him, because like he's gone through this experience and is checking in on him like more often than usual.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, maybe the breakups happened like fairly recently. Like,
yeah, I think it would have happened like shortly. Well, yeah, it's hard to say how much of
throws it.
Yeah, it's hard to say how long ago it was, but he definitely didn't get over it at all, and that's why he's like carrying around the dog biscuits, and like how real the dog killer thing is up for debate as well. But because
he could just be carrying those dog biscuits to kill some dogs.
Yeah, could have. It's unclear. He's definitely uncomfortable about that as well, but yeah. It could just be metaphor. We'll get. I'll cover that off like when we have that final confrontation.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So yes, he's going to fall back into the conspiracy, and so are we. Millicent Sevens is also at this party, looking at a painting of Janet Gaynor's, the actress. She did this painting.
Yeah.
Again, coming back. I feel like we have to watch that movie just to figure out what that means. We go into money here, and Sam like manages to talk to her when he says, "Oh yeah, I knew one of the girls that was with your dad when he died," and they like walk away from this party together with Sam like explaining the whole saga and conspiracy off screen to Millicent, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm trying to figure it out. I'm nearly on top of it." And they come across a shrine dedicated to the murdered dogs of the dog killer. And Sam says here he was bitten by a dog when he was younger, and he's a bit afraid of them. Again, I'm not sure how real this is. They get yelled at by a homeless man, and Sam says he hates the homeless, stating that they're bullies who float around on the edges watching people, jealous that they can't participate, and they harass others, which is huge projection on his part. Like, this is, again, like typical like breakup stuff. Like, he's not able to participate in a relationship, and so he like harasses people and is jealous of this and floaters on the edges and lashes out, much like this homeless man, I think is the idea.
Yeah. He's saying what he doesn't like about himself.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's like quite like a harsh read. But anyway, Millicent asks if he's ever swam in the reservoir, and convinces them both to go out there and swim naked. She has actually taken him out here to lead him in on some extra information. She thinks that this conspiracy is all real, and gives him a bracelet which her dad had, and it looks exactly like the one Sarah had.
Yeah.
And she's like, they're talking about it before they both get shot at by snipers. And Sarah dies, gets shot, and floats down into the water in the same exact posing and position as Sam's Playboy magazine cover. Leading into like this not being actual or real. But anyway.
That's the scene I hate, is like, we've got a woman kind of just dying for plot, like to advance the man's plot, and she has to die naked, and it has to be a callback to a real life porn magazine. Like,
weird.
Jesus.
Weird and unnecessary.
And then because of that, I had to quickly delete a weird, like, imagine explaining what I was doing with that PDF. Like, I'm circling all these letters for a joke on a podcast.
Obviously.
Oh, boy.
So worth it. I'm proud of you. Thank you for your service.
It's all right. It's going to get worse in a second.
I'm ready. So the following morning, after this bizarre evening, tries to decode the bracelet that he's been given. It has the numerals. It has NPM 135-37 written on it, along with Sevence's name, Jefferson.
we're at the end of money, and Pink Floyd are singing "Giving None Away" because they aren't giving away the clue. He's got to work it out.
Yeah.
And he like bloody Googles it, which I find very funny. He just uses Google to figure out the code. It doesn't work.
Yeah, famously, Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man used Bing, so he's getting there.
There you go. He's evolved. Oh man, it'll be Ask Jeeves next before you know it. Yeah, he has the brainwave that, of course, NPM stands for Nintendo Power Magazine, issue 1, which is, by the way, like $100, that magazine.
Oh, wow.
Because of its rarity. Anyway, and it gets defaced in this movie. Disgusting. Yeah, so we go into Us and Them, and goes to 35 to 37, the pages of that magazine, and it's the full spread. It's like a double page spread of the Zelda 2 overworld map laid out. And he numbers the squares of the Zelda screens like a chessboard and then draws the path. But it doesn't mean anything on the map. It's like just sort of... I assumed when I watched this for the first time that he was going to like do a playthrough of Zelda 2 and like go between these two screens and then like a secret message would appear. But no, we're not full Ready Player One yet, and thank God. He tries to figure out what to do and then pulls the Cleartone map out of the author guy's cereal box, and it's a perfect overlay for the Zelda map, which is nice. It's a fun little thing, fun little reveal. And it reveals this path from the reservoir to Mount Hollywood. It's not very clear what you would do at this point, but thankfully Google Maps has the answer because there's just some blank squares saying satellite footage not found in this location. And so he's like, I've got to go there and figure out what it is. So we head there.
I just 2 quick things about this.
Okay.
I bloody love that he just tries it and it's 100% the correct thing to do.
Yeah.
And it's based on the things that are in his house already. Solves the mystery, which does lend credits to your
to my theory. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, of course, it's just the one thing it does. It also adds to the, like, this being a takedown of conspiracy theories, because it's like, oh, he was the one person. He had all the
clues. Yeah.
Yeah. But I did wonder, like, maybe this isn't actually that rare. So I found a map of Auckland from the year 1973, which is, of course, when Dark Side of the Moon was released. And in Photoshop, I put the album cover of Dark Side of the Moon over top of this map and sized them up to the same size.
Interesting.
And and then I looked at the exact point where the little white line of light hits the triangle, because I was like, that's the point where everything changes.
Yes.
The artwork, right? That's when things happen. So this point of this triangle in Auckland in 1973 is in a little neighborhood between Mount Eden and Remuera, often called Balmoral. And I don't know if you know this, but when we started this program, I was living in Balmoral.
Whoa.
All right. So I then go onto Google Maps and I find this exact point. It is sadly 3 blocks away from where I lived. So
that's pretty wild,
close,
though.
but no cigar. Yeah. So, at this point I'm like, okay, that's it. There's nothing. There's no mystery. But then I went to that location, James.
Whoa. He's geocaching.
Yeah. I was like, can't trust Google Maps. What if we learned from Under the Silver Lake?
Yeah.
So I went to this
satellite
location,
footage.
this corner, and I stood there. I looked around. Nothing of note except for one sign. There's a sign there that says Penkaro Panthers Walking School Bus. And I tried to take a photo of this sign and then took the photo. When I left and got home, the photo was blurry and it was just of the grass.
Oh, no.
Something had stopped the photo being taken.
Oh, my God. You found a
Luckily,
cryptid.
Yeah. I Googled Penkaro Panthers with quotation marks, no results.
Oh, whoa.
I checked on this local school's website for the Penkaro Panthers Walking School Bus, no results. So then I have to go back. I have to go back to my previous clue. He led, do I? What do walking school buses have? They have leaders.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And now, so we've got two things. We've got someone needs to lead this walking school bus. But, like, what could be the next hint? And, of course, Pink Floyd, PF. Why, that's, of course, Patrick Fisher.
Yeah.
And what was he in? He was in Mahala Drive. Now, Mahala Drive connects to Dark Side of the Moon via one man, Naomi Watts' dad, Peter Watts.
Oh, shit.
Naomi Watts stars in Mahala Drive. Peter Watts was Pink Floyd's sound engineer and road manager for the Dark Side of the Moon era. And he also famously is interviewed on Dark Side of the Moon, giving a couple sound bites. So, therefore, he knew, oh, God, I've got to be interviewed by Pink Floyd for the album tonight. Oh, man, I'm going to be up so late. I don't know if I can take Naomi, who's 5 years old and has started school, to school tomorrow.
Oh, my God.
I don't know if I can lead the walking school bus. So, he engineered the album artwork and, of course, this movie that comes out 40, 50 years later to give a message to his wife, Naomi Watts' mother, that, sorry, I can't lead the school bus. He led. Do I?
Amazing.
No.
No is the answer.
Yeah. And that is, we've looked for it. It's taken us 98 weeks, but that is the true message of Dark Side of the Moon.
Whoa.
No, I can't lead the walking school bus to get Naomi to school tomorrow.
Oh my God. I'm a little bit delirious after that. After that theory. That's opened my worldview, and I think I'm a different person now. Man. Incredible work.
If you want to know, like, how seductive the idea of conspiracy theories must be to people who, like, it has stakes for them or, like, they need it to confirm something about their life.
Yeah.
Is, after doing this, I biked home and a single feijoa fell down. And I was like, oh, that's weird. A feijoa fell out of a tree. And then I was like,
squirrel.
Shit, I need to take that feijoa and crack it open to get the next secret message. And I had to stop myself and be like, no, we're not going that far. We have the answer.
It's the fortune cookie feijoa.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Incredible.
But yeah, if anyone wants to go deeper and wants to put the map over the map and find that feijoa.
Join the
feijoa,
bus.
Sorry. Yeah.
Get on the bus.
Lead the...
Oh my God.
Because this walking school bus needs a leader somewhere.
Yeah.
Pinkaro Panthers.
They're going nowhere without a leader right now.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That's wild. Incredible work. Fantastic.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Back
So
to
we
the
watched a movie.
We watched the movie Under the Silver Lake. Under the Silver Lake. Yes. Sam heads off to find the location that's not on the satellite footage. He comes across a barricade in his way with 3 slashes on it. And checks his little hobo code pamphlet, and that says this is not a safe place. Now, the grand conspiracy in this movie, the ARG.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. We have to be hit by a second conspiracy so soon.
Hitting you again. All the clues lined up and all brought together as part of this ARG. And allowed you to interpret the Morse code at the start of the film, which is on the coffee menu, which is mentioned on another code that you had to crack using a cipher that was mentioned in a TV ticker at the bottom of a news report. And it was what 3 words. But of course, the E in 3, of course, is a double E because of the tiny little sign that we saw on the billboard. So it's what 3 words. But what does that mean? What 3 words could we be looking for? Now, what 3 words itself is a website where you can put in any amount of 3 words that allow you to search for locations that mention those 3 words and like gives you a direct coordinate. Also, their logo is 3 slashes, much like the hobo code for "This is not a safe place" appearing in the movie. So it's a double lead towards this website, what 3 words. Now, I believe that the conspiracy goes even deeper here, and because the people were trying to figure out what 3 words they were needed, there are a couple of places that they tried and went there. One of the locations that they put in was the gravestones, and the I believe the sheriff's name was involved, and the names of the tombs in the movie, the Egyptian tombs, and all of these things were used on this website and gave a location in the woods, which was the perfect location for a secret to be found. I don't know if anything was actually found there. So that might be the end of the story, but you can find all of this stuff on the surprisingly active Reddit.
Yeah.
For this movie.
For this A24 movie that
Yeah. Very cool. I love these little ARG things. They're always fun to participate in. And it went really deep, and it was fun for people. But I don't know. It's always tough when it goes into the real world because it's really hard to find things. The world's a big bloody place. But yeah, it's very cool. You would hope there'd be a big barricade sign or something with the What 3 Words logo on it out there. That would be neat.
Do you think maybe there was something there and some random person just found it and picked it up? Probably. It was just a Blu-ray of this movie and they're like, oh, cool.
Oh, neat. A movie. Yeah, that's probably what happened. Or I don't know. Who knows what it could have been. Maybe we'll find out someday. Maybe there's more to the mystery. That's the thing about the ARGs. You never know when they're bloody over.
Yeah. I will say what3words.com/dark side moon isn't taken yet, so the mystery could keep going.
It's just that it's 3 blocks from your neighborhood in Auckland.
No.
Oh no. Yes. So he goes up and finds on the hill a clearing with a bamboo hut, and inside are the 3 girls that he was pursuing at the start of the movie, and quote unquote the final man is this character's name, who is just a rich guy who explains what's going on after a little while.
He looks like Billy Ray Cyrus.
He does.
He's played by the dad from Sorry for Your Loss, which is an amazing, sad TV show that was weirdly streaming only on Facebook. So check that out. That's my legit plug for the evening.
Sweet plug. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. So, what's going on in this goddamn movie, according to the movie? The man explains that these shelters that we saw, the tunnels, the tombs, they're for wealthy men who, throughout history, have chosen to lock themselves underground as part of a cult, in order for their souls to ascend to a higher plane. They've been good little boys on Earth, and they've gotten rich enough that they will be remembered as the heroes, the pharaohs of old, and are locking themselves away in underground tombs with their companions. And this is the grand conspiracy that's being covered up by secret codes and things. So it's revealed that Sarah and her roommates that we saw were chosen to be Sevence's companions or wives. And the car accident that Sevence died in was an elaborate hoax used to fake all of their deaths so that they can spend 6 months together hanging out in this tomb before their ascension. Pink Floyd sing "The Old Man Died" over this explanation.
I know.
Probably they die of asphyxiation, which is pretty horrible. But anyway. So the theme here of this is that these rich men are dissatisfied with reality, much like Sam is, and have the power to try and escape it and ascend. And the women that they take along are casualties, effectively, in the path. They are being churned up by LA again. These are considered the lucky ones that get to ascend or whatever, but it's all a farce, right? This is continuing that theme of these girls just coming to LA, trying their best, and ending up the shooting stars, you know? is the idea. Yeah, it's like layered on really, really thick by the guy. He describes it a bit later on that Sam is living in a carnival world where everything is fake and like nothing matters. Like the prizes you can win are a new car, or like 2 weeks of vacation or money to retire on, is what he's saying. And that like nothing matters here. And he says, this isn't a world that anyone with any sense spends much time living in or worrying about. Which is rough. Again, like suicidal feelings. Yeah,
or just being that rich that you're like,
that you don't care about reality.
Yeah.
So
what did you think about this being the main, like where it all pretty much ends up?
I do like that there's an explanation, but I felt immensely dissatisfied with this ending. It's not like as deep. It makes sense that it's not something like incredibly deep, and there is an explanation for most of the stuff that's been happening, as far as like what Sam's been up to. But like, again, I feel like most of the real mystery of this film is like surrounding like my take of it, right? Like that's the secret meaning, or whatever. But maybe that's like, it's meant to be read into way too much, and having a simple, quote unquote simple, having a fairly like mundane kind of ending to this movie, even like bizarre as it is, like having an undercut ending more so is appropriate, because it's not like conspiracy theories are usually explained with something fairly simple or something that like makes sense, right? And so I think like having like a big bombastic crazy ending to this would be too much. It is pretty crazy, but it's not like wild.
If it had been aliens or something, it would have been too far.
It could have been.
Yeah.
Like could well have been. This movie goes some places.
I think you hit the nail on the head with it being quote unquote normal. It's like it feels just a little too weird and just a little too normal.
Yeah.
That like it feels like it's doing neither of the things. Like it's not really undercutting it, and it's not really that satisfying. It's just kind of
doesn't commit.
It's a shame.
Yeah, I agree.
But like, I don't know what else it could have been.
Yeah, I don't know. It's really weird. They had to tie the threads together somehow. Anyway, he's like, well, so Sarah's down in this tomb, and he's like, yeah, we could try and get her on the phone. And so he calls her, and we get a video chat with Sarah like sealed in this bunker. And she's like, you like looked for me? You don't even know me. Which is really funny. Again, like his obsession has driven him this far. And yeah, like she's like flattered that he would look for her. But she is also like happy to have chosen this. She's like she is like here, and there's nothing really he can do about it. And she's like, she says, she like sort of accepts her fate when he's like, you might die down there. She says that she's happy with her choice down here, and they have like a touching kind of goodbye to each other over brain damage. She advises him. He mentioned having a dog, but it died back in the day. And she advises him to get a new dog, saying that a little unconditional love would be good for him. Dogs in the movie, I believe, represent unconditional love because of this statement, and by him being the dog killer, he's like destroying all like chances for love that he gets. Like he had that relationship, is not over it, and is destroying all, like killing the dogs effectively. He's like shooting down any chance of love, is what I'm saying here.
Heck yeah. And he's still carrying the biscuits because he's still,
still holding on to that old relationship.
Yeah. He still thinks he can.
He still thinks he can
love,
repair it,
but he kills it whenever he sees it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh wow, that's good.
Yeah. So yeah, we do get them saying goodbye to each other, as Pink Floyd sing "I'll see you on the dark side of the moon" as well, which is nice.
Yes.
Sam drinks some of the tea because he doesn't know what to do now, offered by the final man because they solved the mystery, but it's like, fuck. He feels sort of hollow afterwards, I think. He doesn't really know what to do. And one of the brides shares a vision of how she sees the ascension taking place, involving them turning into light and like ascending. And yeah, this is where he talks about living in a carnival thing, etc. And they all pass out because the tea was drugged. Because they're preparing for their ascension here. They're going into the tomb because I don't believe they can know where they're being put as part of this whole thing. And the homeless king arrives to take them there. He emerges like the groundhog, sees a shadow, and takes them into the underground tomb. We end the album here, the going into the heartbeats as Sam wakes up chained to this chair underground, and the homeless king is like grilling him because he's found these dog biscuits in his pocket. And the homeless king like asks him why he has them. And yeah, Sam explains that he used to like this girl a long time ago that had a dog, and she stopped loving him. And he admits to the homeless king and to himself that he was waiting for the girl to take him back. And when she did, she'd be able to give the dog a treat and rub its ears, and everything would be all right again. So like that's like the truest thing he's said all movie, I think.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's like we have Speak to Me coming in over that realization and going into Breathe, which is really nice. This final acceptance is basically all the homeless king needed. He needed him to like learn this lesson, I think. And he lets Sam go as so long as he doesn't mention any of this to anyone, any of this wild shit. Sam walks home to his apartment. He like emerges out of like a sewer drain or something, and then walks home, and he sees that the girl on the billboard, who I suspect is his ex-girlfriend, is being covered over with an advertisement featuring a clown in the exact same like position. And again, like covering over that part of his life. He's like now moving on, and so is the world. And also continuing the carnival motif from the guy, what the guy was talking about earlier. As well, saying like it doesn't actually matter. Like, also he walks past the "Beware the Dog Killer" graffiti again, hammering home that whole part, and that's fading off the window as well. Now the girl's been like scrubbing away all film, and it's now disappearing. He's letting go of that part of the bad part of him not getting over her as well. Sam returns to his apartment, and the "Keep Quiet" rune has been like painted onto his wall, the big hobo code symbol. Like a huge like massive paint on his wall. It's so good. He watches the film that his mum wanted him to watch on VHS as we go into On the Run. And he goes over and sleeps with his parrot-owning older neighbor that he was perving on at the start of the movie. Getting over his ex, I think, like going over and having sex with her, I guess. He asks her what the parrot is saying, because we've been thinking about that for most of the movie, and she says she doesn't know. And Sam is content with the mystery being unsolvable as well. Development there. From this apartment, he watches as the landlord and the policewoman come in to find his apartment empty and in disarray, and he sort of smiles like half happy, half triumphant or whatever. He looks really weird. And we get the crash sound and On the Run and the title card for the film going into the credits. There we go. We did it. What did you think? How did it sink? It's a long one. A lot of theories. A lot of rope.
Yeah. I mean, my goodness. Like, I'm looking at all of these strings here. I'm seeing I'm seeing truth of who dog killers are. I'm seeing why people vape. I'm seeing...
Why do people...
sorry I can't lead the walking school bus tomorrow. I mean, I'm seeing everything, but I'm not really seeing a high number.
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm with you, man. It's just too much fucking going on in this movie, man. It's just...
Yeah.
It was impossible to catch things. There was some good ones that freaked me out at the start with everything lining up. But beyond that, not too much.
It reflects the movie's weaknesses in a way that, it synced a little bit, but not enough to really be said for anything.
It's true. I don't know. Yeah. I feel okay about it. I want to say 4.
Yeah, I was thinking 4.
Cool. All right, there we go. Done.
Sweet. And I choose 4 because it confirmed my bias. Because you said it, and I immediately went, it must be right because I think it's right.
There we go.
Conspiracies.
We did it. We solved it.
Aren't we good?
Oh, we did it. Oh, man. So my choice.
Case closed for the Sync Floyd boys. Yeah, your choice.
My choice coming up. I was thinking we should do another big movie. Another, not a super long movie, but a tentpole best of all time kind of movie.
Ooh.
And so, yeah, and I was quite taken with the old the homeless king in this movie as well. And I was like, man, that looks fun. That looks like it would be a good time being a king. I just can't wait, Gareth, basically, to talk about the Lion King. Next episode.
That was going to be when you said last time that you wanted to just do one of your favorites with Princess Bride. I was like, cool, we should do Lion King as well.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. Hype.
Oh, my
Simba.
goodness. And my stories
Pumbaa.
of seeing that.
I can't wait.
Yeah. It's like being king.
Yeah. Alrighty.
Oh, well. Cool. Well, goodness me. Sync Floyd Pod on all your favorite websites.
We did the plug.
We did the plugs, though, so stuff you.
Get out of here.
You go home. Go home and hug someone. I think my cat is scratching at the door after these hugs I'm talking about. So I've been Gareth Blackler.
I've been James Barron.
And look, once you've followed all the codes, you'll know where to go, and that will be where we'll see you on the dark side of the moon.
You and I turning like teeth. Bye.